Hi guys, it's Claire. Welcome back to my channel. This weekend Shani and I hosted a weekend special workshop where we made this 6x6 album. There is actually a YouTube video up already on my channel. I'll link it down below where you can see a little page by page flip through of this album. But I wanted to make another video today to show you how to make this album. Not decorate it and make the complete thing. It does, by the way, has a belly band as well to hold it all together. But not decorate it and complete the whole thing, but how to put the pages together and to make the actual book part of, you know, the pages and the pockets, etc. But as I say, not decorate it. So I'm hoping this video works out okay. It's quite complex and quite complicated, so I'm hoping if I do it step by step that it'll make sense for you. So where we start first of all, the book is made out of 3 main page compartments. You've got 1, 2, 3. In between each one you've got a gusset there, so you've got a gusset, then a group of paper, a gusset, a group of paper or pages, gusset again, and then you get to the back of the book. So we'll start by making those main 3 chunks of pages. So what you need to start for that is 3 sheets of 12 by 12 cardstock. This is basic plain 12 by 12 cardstock. On our black one, my actual main one, I used a 400 GSM black cardstock. This is actually a 250 GSM white cardstock, just for demonstration purposes, but I'm going to make it step by step, as I say, so hopefully it works fine. Okay, now what we done first of all is we got a 12 by 12 piece of paper and we've scored it at 6 inches down and 6 inches across. So I'm hoping my camera shows it enough for you there, but the score lines at 6 inches down, 6 inches across. And then from one of those score lines, just on one part, we'll actually have this at the bottom, so you're going from your central point and cut down one of the score lines. So you've now got a piece of 12 by 12, it's got 6 inches here, 6 inches, 6 inches, a cut line, and 6 inches here. So you're going to fold this. You're going to bone fold it and take your time to do it a bit nicer, obviously, than what I'm doing just for the video. But you're going to fold all this up, bone fold all the creases to make sure that it's nice and neat. But you end up with this shape. So the way you want to have this is like so. So you've got, I called this a tent at the weekend and it seemed to make sense to most people. So this is the tent, this is the pitch of your tent with a fold up here, and then you've got these 2 flaps or pages that come in from the back. So it's facing you, you've got page, open bit here with the fold on top, and open page here. And you're going to do that to all 3 of them. So as I say, I'm rushing a little bit here just for the sake of doing the video. You would obviously take your time and bone fold all these and make sure that all your lines are all nice and crisp. Okay, so I've got 3 that have got my tent in the middle. It's all the way open, it's got a fold at the top and a flap and a flap. We've got tent in the middle, flap, flap. And one more time, oops, tent in the middle, flap, flap. So that is what builds up the bulk of your book. So that chunk is essentially the whole chunk, the middle of this book. It's not the front cover, not the back cover, and obviously it's not the spine, but it is the whole inside of the book. Okay, now the next part of the book that we need to make is the spine. Now there's 2 parts to the spine. There's an inside part, which is what all your pages are attached to, and then there's the outside back part of the spine, which covers up this bit in here, which ends up essentially being a little bit messy because it's all scored in there. So you make this cover to cover it up. I'm going to show you how to make the spine that works to hold those 3 pages that you just made. Now what you start off with is a piece of cardstock. We know that the height of our pages is 6 inches. So we've actually cut the height of this to be 5 3/4. So it's 1/4 of an inch, just shorter. It's not quite 6 inches, it's a little bit shorter. This is also 6.5 inches wide. And what you need to make is little mountains and valleys. So the little mountains essentially become the pieces that your pages sit onto. Before you do that, you also need to add on 1 inch either side for a flap. So you have a 1 inch flap, then you move it along 3/8 of an inch and score, 1/2 inch score, 1/2 inch score, 3/8 score, 1/2 inch score, 1/2 inch score, 3/8 score, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, 3/8, 1 inch. So I'll hold that up close there so you can see what I mean. So you're not measuring, as you're scoring this, you're not adding the numbers together, you're just moving it along your scoreboard. 1/8, add another, sorry, 1 inch, add another 3/8, then add a half, etc, etc. So what you end up with is this little piece of card that you can put together to make 3, oops, sorry, off camera, 3 little pokey up mountains or little tabs that stick up at the top there. Then at the side of those you've got a 3 inch gap each side, and then you've got a 1 inch tab as well. And this is what you need to get. Now to stick this to or to get your pages to stick onto this, first of all we've got to make these little 1 inch pieces that we've scored and bone folded stick together nice and strong. So the easiest way to do that is to use some Scotch tape. Oops, Scotch tape's got some fluff on there. Oh, never mind, good job it's only a sample book. Some Scotch tape down the middle of the bits that are your 2 1/2 inch pieces. Now the bits that you're folding and sticking together have to be the 1/2 inch pieces. Now you'll know if you've got this right or wrong, because this, we know they're 1/2 inch up, 1/2 inch down. If you were trying to put a 1/2 inch up with a 3/8 of an inch down, they'd be lopsided, they'd be wonky, so obviously that doesn't work. So your 1/2 inch pieces are what you're now sticking together. So you end up with this piece like this. So it's got 3 little 1/2 inch up, down, up, down, up, down, 3/8 of an inch in between either side, and plus 1 extra inch either side. That is your flap as well, which we're going to stick our front and back cover of our book to. Okay, now what you have to do with each of these pieces is to stick your pages onto them. Now, like I said to you just a minute ago, we've got our tent and we've got flap, flap. That makes this the back of the book. Okay, so the back of the book is what we're going to slip on to here, like so. So the back of that book, there's already a little crease or a little hole there for it, slips on to here. Okay, and we do that with all 3 of the pages. It's a little bit tricky and a bit fiddly to get those pages on there without getting too sticky. And I've used Scotch tape here, obviously just for speed. If you take your time and use a really strong wet glue at this point, it'll actually be easier for you, but obviously you've got to hold it for a moment and allow it to dry. But essentially what you'll end up with is what I've got here, which is I've now got my back piece that's got 1 inch, a 3/8 gap, excuse my bit of sticky. Then I've got 1 page attached to that first little pokey up bit that I had. This second page attached to the second piece. And then the third one attached to the third piece. And then I've got a 3/8 gap, and then I've got my 1 inch tab. So that's how we build or stick our book all together. As I say, I rushed a little bit because I'm using tape. You use wet glue, give it some time to dry, you know, hold it on there while the glue really sticks properly and get it nice and neat. Okay, step 3. So we've got our pages, step 1, our binding, step 2. Step 3 is to make a little cover for this this binding at the back. This looks, as I said, very sort of messy here because you've got lots of folds and scores and creases, so you need to cover that. Okay, now what I've made to cover that, I've got another piece of cardstock. This is 6 inches in height, so it's the same height as my pages. It is 3 3/4 to start with, so 6 inches by 3 3/4, scored at 1 inch from that side and 1 inch again from the other side. So I've essentially got a 1 3/4 space in the middle, 1 inch and 1 inch there. And with that, we're going to just stick that around the back of here. So all that is doing is putting a secondary spine on there that's nice and neat and covers up all that messy spine that we just had. Now at workshop at the weekend, we actually were taking our time to round off all these corners so that everything fit together a little bit neater. For the sake of this video, I'm not going to do it, but if you want to, in a minute when you come to stick your front and back cover on, if you round off all these corners, it will make everything slightly neater. But right for this second, as I say, you don't need it to assemble the book. So you're going to cover the whole piece in adhesive. Again, as I said, I'm using Scotch just for speed, and I like the fact that it's dry. And I'm going to stick one side of my book down. Oops. And you've got to centralise this. You've got to remember that this spine that we put in at first was 1/4 inch short, so you've now got to centralise it. Turn it round very carefully. As I say, wet glue would be slightly easier at this stage, but tape is nice and strong and holds it in there and does it very quick for me. And I'm sticking that bit in and give it a push down on the back, and we know that everything is now nicely stuck together. Okay, and again, you would have taken your time and bone folded everything so that you've got nice, neat score lines. So we've now got our pages, oh, I've got it upside down, but you've got our pages in there, 3 chunks of pages, your first spine, which is your messy one, and then your second one, which is your neat one on the back. Next thing you need to do is add a front and back cover. Really, really simple, this one. 6 by 6 square, because we know that these pages are 6 by 6 square, and all you're going to do is stick one on the front, one on the back. Really simple. So one on the front. Again, if you want to take your time and use a wet glue, by all means do. I'm being super quick and doing it with Scotch. Go. So that's front and back cover stuck on. So we've now got the front and back cover, front cover, back cover, still with their chunk of 3 pages in between. And as I said, at workshops we done at the weekend, and if you want to, you can round these corners or snip off these corners a little bit, just so that you get, you know, you don't get this top bit sticking out here that looks a bit untidy. You've got a nice neat angle there. Obviously you do cover that when you cover your book. This bit in here, you're covering a pattern paper, so you can see here, I don't know if you can see it on camera, but you know, my little join is there, but it's hidden beneath this patterned paper, so you can't see it, you're never going to see it. Okay, now the next thing that we've got in our book, on our 3 chunks of pages, the middle of each of those pages, so where our tent was, and we know we've got a score at the top, we made the bottoms of these pockets. So what it gave us was a pull-out pocket here. So let me show you on the actual book. So we've got this pocket here, which our tabs sit in. Gives you a pocket here. Gives you a little pull-out bit here to pop a little, you know, place for journaling or photos. And a pocket on the bottom the other side as well for more tags and things. Now we do 2 that have got these outside pockets, which is this one and the one at the very back. Here, so same pockets here, and we do 1 which is, where are you, you're hiding, just here, which is hard to see on camera, but it doesn't have the pockets on the outside, but it is closed, so you still get a little slot where you can pop these in and out. Now again, it will make more sense as I show you how to do it. So to close the bottom of those pocket pages, we need 3 pieces of cardstock. 2 the same, 1 different. This one that's different measures 6 inches in height by 2 inches wide, and it's scored at 1 inch in the middle. So that would have given you a little rectangle, and now all we've done is snipped off the corners. Oops, snipped it again. Snipped off the corners all the way around. So as you fold, instead of this being straight up, you've just taken the edge off of them a little bit. Now this one, the one that's odd, not these 2 that we'll come back to in a second, this one is the one that goes in your middle page of your book. So if you find your middle tent, if you like, so you've got 1 fold at the top, 2 fold at the top, 3 folds at the top, so obviously this one here is the middle one. You're going to stick this at the bottom of that inside. So this sits just here, so it's closing the bottom. We're going to glue it in, it'll close the bottom of this page, but it will also create this pocket, as I say, where you have a pull in and out piece. So it literally gets stuck just in there. So we'll put adhesive on here and on this side and stick that in. Again, you would take your time to do this a lot better than I am, but I'm literally just popping this inside here and here. Okay, there you go. So I've closed the bottom of my tent. This now doesn't poke open like the other ones still do. It's got that score at the top, and I've closed the bottom, but I've made a little pull-out pocket. The other 2 tent pieces that we got, we're going to do differently. They're the ones that give you the pockets on the outside. This is the one that doesn't have the pocket on the outside. The other ones do. So for that, you've got 2 pieces of cardstock. They are 7 inches tall by 4 inches wide. They're scored at 2 inches, so scored in half. They're also scored at 1/2 inch down both sides. So when you fold this all up, you've made your little tabs on the side. This is now 6 inches wide by 2 inches tall. So it gives you a 2 inches high pocket. Okay, so this one where I've rounded off the corners of the tabs. This one I haven't yet, but I have scored it. I'm hoping you can see that on camera. You've got a score line going down the middle at 2 inches, 1/2 inch here and 1/2 inch here. So to round off those tabs, I just fold it in half, snip, turn over, snip, snip, snip. Then when I open it up, I've got little tabs on both sides. And as I say, I'm not bone folding any of this, but you would take your time to bone fold all this and make sure that it is all really, really nice and creased and folded nicely. So you'll have 2 of those. Now these 2 are going to go on those other 2 open tents that we've got. So they're going to go at the bottom again, and they wrap around this time. Not like that one just a minute ago where we slipped in the middle. This one wraps, these 2, sorry, wrap around. And you stick the tabs on the outside of your pages, so both at the back and at the front. So here, when you've done that, you're creating that space in the middle for a pull-out page. You're creating a pocket here and a pocket here. So let me just quickly tape that on. Okay, so back to my tent page. There we are. So it's got my score at the top, slip that on and squeeze it all together. So I've got that pull-out page and a pocket either side. One pocket here, one pocket here. We've done the middle run already, so we go to the 3rd one, or the last one, and we're going to stick that on as well. Okay, oh, mine's going to have writing on the outside, but it doesn't matter because it's only a sample. So I've got my fold at the top, it's open at the bottom. take that down to the very, very bottom. Go down. Fold in the tabs. Give it a good squeeze. And you've made your pockets. As I say, mine's got my sample writing on, but we can just ignore that. So we've made a pocket both sides and a pull-out pocket here. And that is essentially the base of the book done. So you've got front cover, back cover, empty page, pocket page, pull-out page, pocket page, empty page, empty page, empty page, empty page, pull-out page, empty page, empty page, pocket page, pull-out page, pocket page, empty page, and your back cover. So that is how you build the base of your book. Then from then on, it's just a case of decorating and adding pockets and things wherever you want to. Now we, on our very first page, so as you open up this front cover, we added another pocket here. And also a little tiny one here for this tag as well. But obviously you don't have to, it's up to you if you want to add extra pockets. Now to add extra pockets, all you do is, obviously you know this is 6 inches wide, you allow for your little tabs on the sides and on the bottom. Obviously you don't want a tab on the top, that's where your pocket bit is going to be. So your first front pocket is this piece here, which is 7 inches wide. So by the time you've scored at 1/2 inch that side, 1/2 inch that side, folded it in, it leaves 6 inches. You've scored 1/2 inch at the bottom, which you fold in. So you've got 3 little tabs around the bottom, and that just sticks on there. That literally sticks on there and creates that front pocket for you. Very, very simple. Now it's the same for all the other little pockets that we've added. So this is another little pocket here. This one we've made a slightly different size, so it's not the same size as that one, it's a little bit smaller. We've made that one started off at 2 3/4 inches by 6 1/2 inches. Again, scored at half, half and half, leaving one side open, fold in your little tabs, and it's the pocket that you've stuck there. So that was 2 3/4 inches by 6 1/2, scored at 1/2 inch. As I say, I did do a little pocket here as well. I'm not sure if I've got the measurements for that one to hand, but it was just a case of doing exactly the same thing. Measuring the width you wanted it, measuring the height, adding on 1/2 inch for your little 3 tabs at the bottom. This page is a little lift up piece. So on this one, you start with a piece of cardstock that's 4 inches by 4 1/2 inches. So you've got a 1/2 inch tab, which will leave you with 4 inches by 4 inches. So you're just going to literally stick that at the top of your page. Obviously you wouldn't see this because you're going to be decorating it after, and you'll decorate that side and you'll decorate the top as well, so that you've got your lift out flap. So that was 4 inches by 4 1/2 inches, scored at 1/2 inch for your little flap. This one was one of the original pockets that we've just put on. You've already got that there, so all we've done is decorated and added tags. For the pull-out pages, these are the little pull-out pages, and we know we've got 3 of those in the book. They start slightly smaller. They start at 5 inches by 5 inches. So they're 1 inch smaller than your actual page, which gives you 1/2 inch all the way around for room for it to slide in and out. And all you do is decorate front and back. Slip it in. The next page, you already have that pocket there. It's one that we've put on. Again, it's filled with tags or whatever, photos or whatever you want to have in there. Then we've just decorated with another little piece there from the patterned paper. This one is where we made a little tuck pocket. So it's not a full pocket, it's only adhered by 2 sides, and you just tuck this tag in there. Again, the tag can be anything. All the little bits that you put in, you can do however you like. But to make this pocket here, move this out the way, you start with a piece that's 5 inches tall by 4 1/2 inches. Again, scored at 1/2 inch, scored at 1/2 inch on 2 sides this time, because we want to leave 2 sides open. We've then just chopped off the corner just for detail, and you're only adhering those 2 1/2 inch flaps and pop it on there. That is it, as simple as that. So it's just a pocket with 2 flaps rather than 3 like we've been doing before. And as I say, that was 5 inches tall, 4 inches wide, 1/2 inch, score on each side. The next page, now this one's a little bit trickier. This one's the one where we've got our envelope on there. Now what you have to do for this one, move this aside, you have to make your envelope completely separately. Now, if you've got an envelope punch board, it's perfect. If not, you'll just have to try and wing it a little bit and make yourself an envelope. We use the envelope punch board, which I'll just grab, which is just this one here. It's the Stampin' Up envelope punch board, exactly the same as the We Are Memory Keepers envelope punch board. In fact, made by the same people, but this is the Stampin' Up version. And so your piece of cardstock to start your envelope with, this is what will make your envelope, starts out as a square that is 19.1 by 19.1 centimetres. Now, we've been working in inches for the whole book, but just for this and to work with our envelope punch board, we've gone over to centimetres. So it's 9.1 centimetres by 9.1 centimetres. And your first score or your first measurement is 7.6. Now, if you know how to use the envelope punch board, you know that that means that you just take it along to the 7.6 mark, punch, score, turn it round, punch, score, turn it round 4 times so that you've made yourself a basic envelope. Okay, whoops. So that is your basic envelope, which was 19.1 square, scored or first measurement 7.6, which goes on the side of our book here. To attach this to this pocket of the page of the book, we have to make a little hinge, a little tiny hinge just for that to attach to. Now, a hinge is a 5 3/4 high piece by 2 inches wide. So 5 3/4 by 2, scored at 1 straight down the middle, chopped off the corners, top and bottom again, and we simply stick that to the page of our book and then stick the other side of it to the blank side of our envelope. So this will now be in here. You're putting adhesive this side and sticking it down. So as this pops open, this is stuck to the book. Your envelope is here, stuck at the top. All these little tabs obviously get hidden by the decorative paper. You will then decorate your envelope. We also put a little pull out in there. And the tab that you would have stuck here is now covered by that picture, obviously. Now, the next page is a pocket that we added ourselves again. So exactly the same as the very front pocket that we done here. So you know what the measurements are for that one already. There you go, exactly the same. So it was 7 inches by 3.5, scored at half, half, half on 3 sides. Fold it up, you get that next pocket. Now, this next page is the big one with their little flap down. You don't have to do this in the book. I love this detail, but obviously this is only because we had this gorgeous piece of paper in that collection. If you didn't have a piece of paper in your collection, whatever paper you're using, that was a huge 12 by 12 that you wanted to keep perfectly, you don't particularly have to do that. But if you do want to do it, all you do is start with page or a piece of paper or 2 pieces of paper that are 6 inches by 7 inches. These are actually scored with a 1 inch tab, just to give them a little bit more on there, because obviously it's quite a whole big tab, so I gave it a little bit more of a tab. So they're 6 by 7, scored at 1 inch, rounded the corners off again, stuck one here, stuck one here. So these are the bits that fold up and down. They butt right up to the edge of your page, fold down, fold back in again. And as I say, I only done that because we had this huge centerpiece. If you don't want to do that, you can just add more pockets or leave that as a normal page, whatever you want to do. But if you do want to do it, you just make another page and have an inch tab for it to stick onto, which folds up and down on both sides. And that's that. Then we get to another pull out, which you already know. I've given you the measurements, oops, sorry, off camera again, how to do the little pull out page. Then we get to another one of those little tuck slots. So not quite a pocket, but a little sort of half pocket, exactly the same as we done before. This one was a slightly different measurement, only to make it a bit different. This started off at 4 by 4.5, again scored at half and half on 2 sides. Fold those little tabs in, and it gives you your little pocket that sits there. Now, all these sizes, obviously you can vary them to work with the paper that you've got. It doesn't have to be exactly the same as what, you know, the size I've used. We have just done it that size to work with the pictures and the patterns on the paper that we've got. You can change them completely. All you're sort of seeing here is how to add the tabs and how to put them in. The next page we just left plain because it was a lovely piece of paper. This one is a Z-fold pull-out one. Now this one starts off slightly differently. It doesn't need to, but this is just how we done it. It starts at 5 inches tall by 12 inches long. It doesn't need to be 12 inches. We actually leave a 2-inch tab here. You don't have to at all. 1 inch would have been fine. The only reason we left it at 12 inches was because it was a sheet of 12-inch paper. So obviously it just made sense to cut them at 5, score at 5 inches, score at 5, which just had this leftover 2-inch piece, so it's perfectly okay just to use a 2-inch tab on there, which gives you that Z. As I say, that could have been 1 inch, could have been ½ an inch, but I think on these bigger pages it's nice to have a slightly bigger tab so it's holding itself in there nicely. Obviously that's going to be covered by your patterned paper. You stick that on the edge of your page, and then when it's all Z folded up, it's just like so, works like so. And this little tab, as I say, will be hidden under this piece of paper. You then decorate both sides of that, so this side and the front. Okay, we're getting towards the end. This is another plain one, we just left it completely plain. This side, a little top flap again. Now this little top flap started out at 4 inches by 5 inches. We left a 1-inch tab. So scored at 1 inch, so you've now got a 4 inch by 4 inch piece. So that's the tab that we just stick at the top of there. Again, this bit will be covered by your patterned paper. You then decorate the back, decorate the front, and you've made your little lift up flap. Onto this page. So this page has got these tags inside, but it's actually one of our pockets that we put on earlier, so therefore that means that it's got the opening for the pull-out piece. So you've already got those pockets there. You've just got to make another pull-out. They just slide in and out. Another pocket, obviously that side, your built-in one for more tags. A plain page here. Then we've done this one. This is the very last one that's a little bit complicated. This is a little exploding box. So the doors fold in, up and down. Now to make that one, it looks quite complicated. It's actually not that hard. You start off with 5 pieces of cardstock. You've got one piece that's 5 inches by 5 inches. That's going to be your inside piece here. Then you have 4 pieces that are 4 inches by 5 inches wide, and they're scored at 1 inch. So you end up with 4 inches by 4 inches with a 1-inch tab. You make 4 of these. All 4 of those get stuck behind this piece, so sticking on the back. 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way around. So you'll have a bottom one, a side one, a top one, and round the other side. So you're making little flaps that fold in, side, side, top, bottom. It doesn't matter what order you do it in. Make sure that you stick them to the back. So when you lay that down here, you put your nice flat panel in the middle, and you'll have doors here, 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 and here that fold in. And again, then it's just a case of decorating them in the middle, in the inside, on the front. So you'll have middle picture, inside decorated, outside decorated for all 4 pieces. Make sure I left my top one, the down one, as my main one, so I left my favourite picture on there. On the inside I kept it quite plain with this grid paper, but a really nice picture in the middle as my focal one. And that is it. That is your book made. So I hope that helps. Hope I've said it all clear enough for you. It really is quite simple when you break it down into bit by bit. And obviously any of these flaps or any of these pockets that I've just shown you, you can add to any page. It doesn't have to be the pages that I've put them on. You know, instead of putting a little tuck pocket there, you could have added another pocket, or you could have done another sideways one like we had at the front here. You can really do them however you want to do them. But yeah, it turns out to be an absolutely beautiful book. Oh, last thing I didn't mention quickly is a belly band. Very, very simple. Once you've made all your book, get 2 strips of card, wrap around, score, wrap one from the back and score, and then just adhere them at the sides. So this goes up and down, this one goes down, along and up, and they're adhered together there and just decorated. And obviously that is the width of your book so that you know that it slips on nicely like so. And that is it. As I say, it's beautiful once decorated, but it's actually quite easy to make, relatively easy to make. So you've got inside 3 pages, inside spine, outside spine, front cover, back cover, these 3 bits that we do, so 2 that are the same and make your pull-out pages, middle one that's slightly different, and then it's just decorate and add pockets and tabs wherever you want them to be. That's it. I hope that helps. Very, very quick. If you have any questions, do just write them down in the comments below or send me an email. I'll try and answer for you, but I hope that gives you a sort of guide as to how to copy it and how to make it yourself. Yeah, really, really beautiful. I do recommend you use a nice thick cardstock like we did. As I say, this was a 400 GSM. The white that I just done that little demonstration one for you is only 250, and I can feel that it's a lot thinner. I know it's not decorated yet and it's not covered, but I can already feel that it's going to be a lot more flimsy, obviously. So try and, if you can, use a nice 400 GSM. It makes it really thick and sturdy. If you do give it a go, make sure you let me know. Send me an email and sort of tag me in it, or send me a picture, or show me what you've done, or join us over on our Facebook group and show me what you've made. Yeah, hope that helps. Thanks for watching, guys, and I shall see you very, very soon. Bye.